I was watching a video the other day of a man who used to be a behavioral specialist for the CIA, and he'd been through a process himself where he had a illness which was causing him epilepsy, but then he also found ways through that and discovered for himself the connection to everything. And for him, the bottom line he came to was that love is everything and self-love is even more important than love. And as a part of that is self-compassion.
Mhm.
Now, what role does self-compassion play in the depth hypnosis process?
Well, it's a very important role. Compassion generally plays a very important role. And I'm reminded by my dear friend who is the Dalai Lama's principal interpreter, English interpreter, Thupten Jinpa. He was giving a talk on compassion recently. And he said, compassion must necessarily also have wisdom. You can't just have compassion. You must have compassion with wisdom. And so what we're talking about is holding compassion for all phenomena is important. So recognizing that someone engaging in really horrendous behavior, causing harm, anyone causing harm to other people has a wounding. Now, that's not okay that they're causing harm. You can have compassion for the idea that that person has a wounding, but you do not tolerate or accept the harm that's happening. So this is what we would call fierce compassion. And one of the interesting things about that we work to help people connect to their own inner compassion, to understand compassion from this level. And self-compassion is really interesting because a lot of people have self-loathing. And it's unique to our culture, to contemporary cultures. And I've had to explain to monks, I do a lot of work with Tibetan monks, and they really don't understand this idea of lack of compassion for the self. They're like, that's natural. That's just the way it is. And even when Jinpa, there's a story that's been told many times about when Jinpa had to explain what a lack of compassion for the self was to the Dalai Lama. It was like it took a while, took a minute, to understand that because it just doesn't make any sense. And also to illustrate that, I'll say Jinpa has this something called the Compassion Institute, and he's done a bunch of studies at Stanford. He's led this institute. And he said, when we started teaching people in contemporary cultures, like the US